Hi, how's it going? I hope everybody is safe and well on this Thursday evening. Yep, I'm uploading every week. I don't know if you've actually noticed the schedule. Every Thursday and every Sunday. Sometimes today I thought I would stick in the house. I don't feel like going outside. It's kind of dull and gray and windy, and it doesn't look very pleasant out. So there's a subject that I wanted to talk about. So I figured, why not today, right? So I wanted to talk about the cost of living with celiac disease. So the cost of living just on its own has been going up and up and up since the beginning of this pandemic. And it goes up all the time anyway, but the cost of food just since the beginning of the pandemic, I think the last number I saw was like some foods have gone up by 24%, the cost of like vegetables and fruits and stuff. So for those of us who don't eat Wonder Bread, which is pretty cheap, or ramen noodles, which is really cheap, or frozen pizzas, which is pretty cheap. For those of us who can't eat that kind of stuff, our cost of living has just shot through the roof. So for myself as a single person with all the regular expenses in one of the most expensive cities to live in the world, not just in Canada, but in the world, it's been getting really, really tricky. So I know I've alluded to this a few times. I mean, this is why I make my own backpacking meals, why I like dehydrate my own foods and I don't buy, backpacker pantry or anything like that, because one, they're just not available here to me because they're not gluten-free, or the ones that are gluten-free still have food ingredients in them that I can't eat most of the time, like soy or corn. I can't eat those either. Plus, if you look at the price of, say, a backpacker meal in the US, it'll be like maybe $6 or $8. Here in Canada, that same meal can cost anywhere from $12 to $14, which I think is just absolutely bonkers how much the price goes up once it hits the border, and it's just ridiculous. So the cost of food here in Canada is so much more than it is in the US. I don't know like in Europe or anything like that, but here in Canada the cost of food is just crazy expensive. So I mean it's been going up. So it's been a challenge sometimes to be able to eat healthy foods the way I would like to. And then also to come up with foods that I can easily prepare for myself while I'm out on the trail. So, I mean, I looked at some of the differences in foods, like this gluten-free rice ramen, which like a regular packet of ramen noodles, which I ate when I was young and poor. I ate ramen noodles and spaghetti all the time, not knowing that I had celiac disease. But now, gluten-free rice ramen, this is, I paid $2.97 for this package. You can get regular ramen for like 89 cents, for less than $1. Not that I eat that a whole lot, but if I'm out on the trail and I just want something that's easy to fix and also put in some vegetables and some meat, then that it would cost me 3 times as much as it costs someone who doesn't have celiac disease. Also, gluten-free oats. Celiac disease, you can't eat anything with gluten, which includes wheat, rye, barley, and most oats. Now, oats are inherently gluten-free. However, they are typically grown in the same fields and harvested on the same machines and processed on the same machines as wheat and barley. So they'll rotate the crops or have them interspersed. So oats, like I don't know how many percent, but most oats in the world are also cross-contaminated with wheat or barley. So to have certified gluten-free oats, I love this brand. This is really good. And I only just discovered recently that I can eat oats again. It's very common for people with celiac disease to not be able to eat oats even, ever. So it took a good 10 years for me to be healed enough that I can eat oats on occasion. So this brand here, it ranges in price. For this packet is 500 grams, so half a kilo. It ranges in price from $7.99 to $9.99, depending which store you get it at. It's very, very good though. No, I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by any of these products here. I got this one on sale a couple weeks ago. So, but even just plain, that's a flavored oatmeal. Just plain gluten-free, certified gluten-free oats. I think it's called Only Oats, is one of the Canadian brands. They're $7.99 as well for, I think, 500 grams. So it's not cheap. A regular, Quaker Oats package of the same size would cost maybe $2, maybe. And then also baking flours, like a bag of wheat flour costs how much? I mean, it's not very much. I buy cassava flour, and I do a lot of baking with cassava flour. This one cost me $9.99 at, I got this one at Winners, and this is 2 pounds. So it must have come from the U.S. because there's no grams on here. 32 ounces or 2 pounds. And this costs $9.99. Other brands will cost, like, of this same size, Otto's cassava flour, $29.99 for the same size bag, which is just ridiculous. I also have another autoimmune disease, which, touch wood, is in remission, but it has already caused damage to my body. It's called Sjogren syndrome, and it causes your eyes and your mouth and mucous membranes to become dry. So I always have a dry mouth, always have a dry throat. My nose is always dry. My eyes are always dry and scratchy. Like, I feel like the Sandman has always gone over me. So I think this particular disease has caused me to be very, very sensitive to fragrances and scents. Sometimes I will get on a public bus, and if anyone there is wearing cologne or perfume, I have to get off because I just cannot breathe. And recently it's been getting even worse. I bought myself a huge jug of what is labeled fragrance-free liquid dish soap, and I had to give it away because I could smell it, and whatever the ingredients were, all natural ingredients, so there's nothing synthetic in there. No perfume, no parfum, no fragrance. It's just fragrance free. And I washed my hands with it, and for the next 7 hours I cannot keep my hands anywhere near me. I washed them, I soaked my hands in apple cider vinegar. I couldn't get rid of the smell, so I cannot use anything with fragrance. I use this brand of shampoo, soap, Everyone 3-in-1, and it does not contain any fragrance. I can't smell anything on it, and it works great for my hair. But then at the beginning of the pandemic last year, I had a bottle that I had bought in 2019, and I was down to about here, so I thought, okay, well, I need to get myself another bottle of shampoo. So I started looking online everywhere. Even the manufacturer was out of this, and it was out of stock everywhere, and I was in a complete panic. In 2019, I paid $11.99 for this bottle, and then when I finally got another bottle of it, I think that I got this finally just in December, $16.99. So it had gone up $5 in like a year. So in the meantime, I had purchased this bottle of shampoo from the Unscented Company, which is a great company as well. Again, I am not sponsored by any of these products that I'm showing you. The Unscented Company, this size bottle, which is 500 milliliters, and this one is 946 milliliters. This one here cost me $15.99 for half a liter, and this one 2 years ago in 2019 cost me $11.99. Now it costs $16.99. And so for me to buy things that don't have things in them, that don't have gluten in them, that don't have fragrance in them, it costs me like twice as much as it does for anybody else. Like, before I was diagnosed with celiac disease and I didn't know that I had it, I knew I was sick, I didn't know what I had. Doctors were just flummoxed, and that's a whole nother story entirely. But when I was, poor and single, living on my own, and if I couldn't afford groceries, then I would just go to the dollar store and I would get ramen, and if I needed shampoo, I would just get a bottle of dollar store shampoo. So someone who does not have celiac disease or other chronic autoimmune diseases, they can do that, whereas I can't. Otherwise, will sit here with, if I get something fragrance, then I'll sit here with a migraine for days and days and days. Or if I eat anything with gluten, then I'll be sick for even just one little crumb. I'll be sick for 2 months. So it's not like I can cheat. I'm not being a picky eater. I can't cheat on this diet. I have to have things that do not contain gluten. Even if it says on the package may contain, I stay away from it, because that is the recommendation of the Canadian Celiac Association. It may be cross-contaminated with gluten. So, I have to stay away from all of that. And I also choose to eat a more healthful diet with lots of fruits and vegetables, which I'd already mentioned. A lot of our fruits and vegetables since the beginning of the pandemic, I don't know if it's shipping lines or what's the word I'm looking for? Just getting it across the border, because a lot of our food comes from the US because their growing season is so much longer than ours here. Yes, the supply chains, that's what I was looking for. Supply chains are strained because of border closures and stuff like that. So it's costing more for everything, and it's very, very difficult to manage a very minuscule budget when prices just keep going up and up and up, and try to stay healthy as well. Ramen noodles, they're not healthy at all. I bought that just to try it out, to see if I can, tolerate it, and if I can take it on the trail and take just 1 or 2 packets with me while I'm out. The oats, I tried those and realized I can eat those. I can't eat them every day, but I can have them once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, and not have any ill effect from them. I have to have that expensive shampoo all the time. If I want to make myself some cookies or cake or bread or a bread-like substance, then I have to use a gluten-free flour, and it has to be certified gluten-free so that it's not cross-contaminated. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea because my throat is going dry. That's nice tea. Just tea. Lemongrass and mint. So tasty. Yeah, I was in a Zoom meeting with my coworkers today. We have one every week just to, so we don't forget what each other looks like. And someone mentioned that a whole nother plane load of dogs just came here from Egypt or something. Yeah, we don't have enough stray dogs here in Canada. We have to fly them in from foreign countries. And someone said, well, maybe, Rebecca, you could adopt a dog. And I'm like, only if you give me a raise, because I can barely afford to feed myself. I would starve to death, and the dog would just have to eat meat. The dog died almost 3 years ago now. I would love to have another dog, But it would be very irresponsible of me to do that, to get a dog, because I can't afford it. I can't afford to feed it decent food, and I have to, even if I were to have a pet, my pets have to have food that's free of gluten as well, because I can't have it in my house. When I was first diagnosed, I had dogs at the time, and the food that we were feeding them had gluten in it. I was still getting sick because I had to go and feed them, and because then they would come by and they would like spray their slobber all over the place or come and give me licks on my face. So then I still get sick. So my pets even have to eat gluten-free food. So and that's not cheap, because I would not be able to manage to have a pet and still be able to eat, so that I would be functioning, or so that the dog would be healthy as well. And then never mind veterinary bills and annual checkups and shots and stuff. It's just not feasible. Oh, that's nice tea. Yeah, so I mean, just living with celiac disease is my primary concern, but I also have been diagnosed with Graves' disease and Sjogren syndrome, and I also have psoriasis, which is also an autoimmune disease. And I know that if I eat things that aggravate my psoriasis, that my skin is just gonna flare up. And like, I had one patch here recently, and I had and crazy things can set it off too. So it's not just food, but stress. And of course, this past year has not been stressful. I mean, the year 2020 is just going on and on and on and on. It's never going to end. And this pandemic seems like it's never going to end. We're still in stay-at-home orders here in Toronto until at least March the 8th. They've extended it again. And I don't know how much, more food costs are going to rise. My costs here in the condo are probably going to go up. Last year, they were kind enough to keep the maintenance fees. They didn't raise the maintenance fees, but typically, since I've lived here, they've raised the maintenance fees $20 per month every year since I moved in, except for last year. So I expect this year they will raise it again. Yeah, I mean, I grow some of my own food, but it's not a lot that I can grow on a balcony on the 4th floor in Toronto. Like, it's very difficult. I didn't get a whole huge harvest last year, but I did grow a few things. So yeah, it's just a whole bunch of different things. It's not just gluten that I avoid, it's a whole bunch of other things as well. So like packaged foods, I can't eat them. They may be cheap, they might be convenient, but I just can't eat very many of them. And the ones that I can eat are crazy expensive, like 3 times the amount as, the regular ones. So yeah, it's like I can't have the college white diet, which, everybody does that. When they're low on funds, ramen noodles, frozen pizza, and spaghetti. I can't do that. Even spaghetti noodles, gluten-free, they cost 3 times as much as the regular ones do. So it gets very, very difficult, and it gets very, very frustrating as well. Having these diseases and not having, the budget to be able to eat the way that I need to remain healthy sometimes. So yeah, when I look at my bank balance, or somebody says, hey, you want to go and do something pre-pandemic, I'd be like, no, I can't really. Plus there's I think 3 restaurants in the entire city of Toronto, maybe 4 now, when they're allowed to be open, that are dedicated gluten-free facilities. There's not many restaurants in the city that I can eat at that are dedicated gluten-free. There's a few restaurants that do have gluten-free items on the menu. There's not very many restaurants in the city that have gluten-free items that I actually trust, because I've gotten sick there, or I know someone, or I've heard someone else who has celiac disease has gotten sick there. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot that we can do. Plus, there's none in my area, even, without the pandemic, there's none in my area that are within a range that I can get to, or that I can get, like Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats or whatever. So, yeah, it's very difficult to, it's very difficult to have kind of a normal, I hate saying that, normal life if you have celiac disease, because you always have to be very careful of where you're going for restaurants, what foods you're eating, how they're preparing the foods. If you do go to a restaurant, it's difficult going to family dinners. So, yeah, it's okay, I brought food in my purse. Yeah. So it's like everywhere we go, like pre-pandemic, when we were allowed to go and hang out with other people at other places, I always had food in my purse, because I would go somewhere, like we're going out to a restaurant, and I can't eat anything in the restaurant, so I'll have, depending where we're at, what time of day it is, I'll have a glass of water, or I'll have, a can of cider or something to drink, and then I'll just surreptitiously have I'll have some food in my purse that I'll eat. So it's very, very difficult having this disease, as well as the other diseases that I've been diagnosed with as well. So, and with the cost of living going up, it's just crazy. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this 2-week backpacking trip as affordable as possible. So I have to come up with my own meals for the whole 2 weeks. There's very, very, very few prepackaged foods that I will be able to take with me. All the rest of it is going to have to be dehydrated by me. I did find a freeze-dried Canadian company, though. It's just very expensive. So, yeah, that's me. Welcome to me. This is why I'm so neurotic. Because of all of my celiac disease, Graves' disease, Sjogren syndrome, and psoriasis. These diseases really are what make me, I can't even speak. I'm trying to explain. Celiac disease it doesn't rule my life, but it does strictly govern, of course, what I can eat. And then I also notice with the other diseases that I have, I will get flares with some other foods that I eat, or it will cause symptoms to recur. So, I mean, it's not just a matter of, this is gluten-free pizza, you can eat that, right? Well, no, I can't, because it's got tomato sauce on it, and tomatoes cause me issues, or it's got potato flour in it, and potatoes cause me issues, or it's got soy protein, and everything's got soy in it. It's just ridiculous, and I can't eat soy. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. And so I don't eat typically gluten-free. I eat free from gluten. And I even wrote an article about it a few years ago that was actually accepted and posted on Mind Body Green, which is a health website, which I know a lot of people who, I used to know a lot of people who followed that. So it caused quite some controversy, but it didn't get me any notoriety. So, if you want, I can link that for you down in, if it even still exists on the website, I don't know. But if I can find it, I'll link it down below. So I'm trying to wrap this up and trying not to ramble. So I'm trying also to get this done earlier in the week so that I'm not up late on Thursday doing the editing and the uploading to YouTube, because I also need my beauty sleep. I can't function properly if I'm not getting enough sleep. So if I'm up late doing these, then on Friday I'm not much good for work. So anyway, that's me and all of my crazy diseases, and why I do some of the things that I do, and why I find it very frustrating in this city, because it's so very expensive, and there's no restaurants in this neighborhood that I can go to, and And because I'm not allowed to hang out with my friends anymore, so I'm just kind of sitting here by myself, and occasionally I binge on chocolate, gluten-free, free of gluten, chocolate, and macadamia nuts. Yeah. 2 of my favorite things. So that's it for this Thursday. If you know anybody who has celiac disease or autoimmune disease, shoot this out to them, and we can commiserate together on the complexities of autoimmune disease and the frustrations of having to eat gluten-free for celiac disease. Hit the thumbs up for me. It really does help me out. And hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think, and about diet or celiac disease or anything like that. Let's chat. I'll talk to you later.